Nancy Cavey, a Florida Social Security disability attorney, and I want to welcome you to our inaugural episode of the Social Security Disability Version podcast, Winning Isn't Easy. Before we get started, I've got to give you a legal disclaimer. This podcast isn't legal advice. The Florida Bar Association says I have to say this. Now I've said it, but nothing will prevent me from giving you an easy-to-understand overview of the Social Security disability claims process, the games that Social Security will play, and what you need to know to get your Social Security disability benefits. So off we go. Now, in this series, I'm going to be covering the ins and outs of what you need to know regarding Social Security disability claims. And I'm going to start with some basics. I think it's important that people who are applying for Social Security disability benefits understand the process and not what their neighbor or their best friend or their cousin told them about the Social Security disability claims process and how they got their benefits on the first try. So let's talk about the word disabled. And in doing so, I'm going to give you an overview. I'm going to theoretical arguments or applications that we see. So we're going to walk you through some, and we're going to talk about the 5-step sequential evaluation, which is really the key to getting your Social Security disability benefits. So get out your pad or pencil or get out your Chromebook so that you can take notes. Got it? Well, let's take a pause before we get started, okay?
Filing for Social Security disability, or has your claim been denied already? Either way, you require a copy of your rights to Social Security disability benefits, which will cover everything you need to know about the Social Security disability claims process. Request your free copy of the book at caveylaw.com today.
Welcome back. Let's talk about a Social Security disability overview so that we're on the same page. Has your doctor told you that it's time to stop work and apply for your Social Security disability benefits? Is your employer complaining that you can't keep up with your work because of your back pain or knee pain? Is your pain preventing you from doing your job? Now, if you answered yes to any of these questions, you might be thinking about applying for Social Security disability benefits. You may have heard that it's hard and it takes a long time. But alternatively, you may have seen people collect their Social Security benefits quickly and then look disabled to you. So you're a bit concerned. So what I want to do again is to talk about the why, you need to understand basic terms and concepts and how the Social Security goes about evaluating a disability claim. Now, the term disabled is a term of art in the Social Security world. The dictionary defines a disability to mean a physical, mental, cognitive, or developmental condition that impairs, interferes with, or limits a person's ability to engage in certain tasks or activities or participate in the typical daily activities. Now, in my view, that's a common sense and a practical definition of the word disability. And that's probably what you think about when you hear the word disability. But guess what? That's not the definition of disability that's used by Social Security disability and Social Security supplemental insurance income claims. Social Security has its own unique definition, and it defines disability to mean an inability to engage in any substantial gainful activity by reason of any medically determinable physical or mental impairment that can be expected to result in death or has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of time of not less than 12 months. So there are a lot of important words in that definition. Social Security also defines the words physical or mental impairment. And that means an impairment that's based on anatomical, physiological, or psychological abnormalities that are demonstrated by medically acceptable clinical and laboratory diagnostic techniques. So you can see that this is much different than the common understanding of the term disability. Now, the Social Security Administration also will specifically exclude from the definition of disability an individual who is suffering from drug addiction or alcoholism, particularly if that's a contributing factor that's material to the determination as to whether or not the individual is disabled. You also have to understand here that it's the Social Security Commissioner's job, as given to a DDS, which I'll explain later, and the judge to determine whether or not you're disabled as that term is defined by Social Security regulations. So simply because your doctor says you're disabled does not mean that you're disabled for Social Security purposes. Now, this definition of disability is different from those who are blind or for children, and I'm not going to be talking about this during our podcast. Other factors that you need to think about in the definition is consideration of age, education, and work experience. Unfortunately, the Social Security rules don't necessarily provide any clear guidance for Social Security or judges in weighing those factors in determining whether or not a person is entitled to benefits. Now, Social Security is not going to consider necessarily the availability of work in your particular area, where you live, the number of job vacancies per se, whether or not you would be hired, whether the job pays a living wage, and whether or not it's even a job that you would be interested in. So Social Security is going to consider a number of factors, including your medical records, but ultimately they are going to try to determine your entitlement to benefits in a non-adversarial manner. There's no attorney representing Social Security at any level, but there are some judges who, I believe, inappropriately think that they are in fact representing the interests of Social Security as opposed to being impartial. So we've sort of set the framework here. You can see there's a practical difference between the dictionary definition or the common understanding of the definition of disability and Social Security's definition of disability. But I want that Social Security definition of disability to frame your thinking. And you need to put aside your common understanding of the word disabled. Got it? Now, after we take a short break, I'm going to give you a quiz to see whether or not you can determine, based on the facts, whether a Social Security applicant is in fact entitled to benefits. And as I go through each example, I'm going to be introducing concepts that are important for you to understand in the Social Security disability claims process. This is going to be the foundation for other discussions in the course of our podcast episodes. So I hope you score well, and I hope you are able to predict whether or not the person is entitled to benefits. And if you don't score well, I'm not going to kick you off this podcast, but I'm going to try to be teaching you again how to change your thinking about how you go about winning a Social Security disability claim. Got it? Let's take a break.